I'm not going back on the open ocean. Submitted by PocketOxford. I used to sail a lot. I stopped. There are things out there, far from land. Things that I don't want to run into again. I was sailing from Halifax to Bermuda. Solo. I know, it's really not the most insane route you can sail. I mean, people cross the Atlantic all the time, even circumnavigate the globe all by themselves. The trip should take less than a week of sailing. It really shouldn't be so bad. Sure, I'd be alone, but a week? I could do a week. That would be fine. Or so I thought. At the end of the 4th day, thick fog descended. It was the kind of ocean fog that sends white arms trailing into the cabin, the kind that envelops you like a blanket, seemingly muffling all sound. I could hardly see the top of the mast, and only a few meters of the ocean on either side. The wind had gone from gale force to 0 in what seemed like minutes, the waves turning from angry pointed peaks into long, rounded hills. The water softly lapped against the boat. It was dead quiet. It was hypnotizing, like I was in a dream state. Time didn't seem to pass. It was like I was standing still, frozen in time and space. Just the milky white fog and the dark water. It looked almost black in the gloom that came with the fog. It felt like it would never end, like I'd never see land again, never feel the sun on my face again, never see another person again. Just fog and water, fog and water, fog and water. I shuddered, the cold creeping into my bones. I idly considered how terrifying fog like this would be back in the day. I had radar and GPS. I knew exactly where I was, and if there were other boats around. I glanced at the radar. There weren't. The radar didn't have the longest reach, but there was something undeniably eerie about being the only human for miles. Beautiful in a way, but eerie. I stretched, joints creaking. I got up, jumping up and down on the spot a bit to warm myself up. Did a few jumping jacks. Sat back down. A foghorn rang out through the silence. The peaceful atmosphere was shattered. I got to my feet, looking around me for the source. I could feel my heart beat faster. I saw nothing, of course. I couldn't see anything in the fog. I swallowed. There was nothing to see but fog and ocean. I looked at the radar. Nothing. What the hell? If I heard the foghorn, I should see the ship on the radar. It should be within range. I sat down, frowning. Had I imagined it? Suddenly, staring into the white nothingness, I was overcome with the most intense feeling of sadness I have ever experienced in my life. It was as if my whole world imploded. My sick grandmother, my childhood dog, my ex-girlfriend, my lack of direction in life, my failed studies, My inability to complete my goals, my every missed chance, every single regret I have ever had flashed through my mind. I got up and moved slowly towards the railing of the boat. I grabbed the thin wire and stared into the ocean. I remember thinking that a person as useless as me shouldn't be allowed to live on the planet. Who did I think I was, breathing air that could be used by better people? I was a waste of space. I should just end it. I leaned over the railing, letting my hand graze the waves. The icy cold water splashed over my arm. It seemed nice down there. Maybe I should end it all. End it all right now. It'd be so easy. Just take off my life vest, then jump. It could all be over. But the boat belongs to a friend of my brother. He'd be pissed if I left it drifting in the ocean. That thought brought a clear image of my brother to my mind. Wait, what was I thinking? I didn't want to die. Why did I just think that? I shook my head, trying to clear it of thought. God, I thought. Maybe solo sailing was too mentally draining for me. Some people sail around the world alone, and I started going crazy on day 4? I thought I had a stronger psyche than that. I stared at the radar screen again. Nothing. I increased its range. And still nothing. Had I really heard anything? The foghorn sounded again. It was closer this time. Much closer. It must be a big ship. Maybe a commercial liner. My little sailboat didn't stand a chance against one of those. I had no wind, and the engine was not strong. Changing course wouldn't be easy, and I had no idea which direction to go. Why wasn't the ship showing up on the stupid radar? God, I'm useless, I thought. How did I ever think I could do this? I'm not a good sailor. I'm not even a good person. I'm just a failure. Nobody likes me. An image of me talking to my high school crush flashed across my mind. I said something. She looked at me with disgust and walked off. Like she had done all those years ago. Like she had done because I was a useless, disgusting waste of space. Nobody would ever love me. Nobody could ever love me. That's why Lisa left me. They're all going to leave me. I stared into that dark, cold water. I'm going to die cold and alone. Might as well end it here, I thought. I leaned closer to the water. It would be so easy. Just float away. Take one deep breath. Fill my lungs with that beautiful dark liquid that surrounded me. And let go. Then, out of the fog, was a gigantic bow. Like a monster in an old horror movie, it towered over me. I looked up at the endless length of black metal, having to crane my neck to see the top. My sailboat was a little speck in the ocean next to this one monstrous ocean liner. It glided past me, close enough that I could make out the rivets in the hull. It was dotted with portholes, every single one dark. I just stared. Suddenly, a soft beam of light shone through the darkness. I strained my eyes to make out what it was. A light had come on in a porthole. Then light shone from another porthole. And another. One by one, the light came on in every porthole. To my surprise, they weren't empty. In each round hole, there was a face, a person, staring blankly out into the fog. Some were old, some were young, some were dressed in old-fashioned clothes, some looked like they had gotten on a ship a few days ago, and they all just stared out at the darkness with the same blank gaze. Stared out at me. Wait. No. I was wrong. Light didn't shine from every porthole. Some were dark. Empty. They had room for more people. Room for me. I extended an arm, not quite sure why. The boat kept on its achingly slow pace. I stared up at the lit faces. For a moment, I looked right into the eyes of a beautiful young woman in one of the lower portholes. She just stood there, hand resting against the window. She made no sign to acknowledge that she had seen me, that she had made direct eye contact with another human being out here in the cold, dark ocean. The foghorn sounded again. It filled me with a new sense of dread and despair unlike anything I had ever felt before. I should be on a ship like that. It suddenly seemed like the only thing I could do. I should be there, not on this silly little sailboat. I could swim there. I should be in the ocean. I should jump right in the water and take that sweet, sweet breath of salty darkness. A jarring, cheery sound rang out, making me jump and stand up straight. I had set an alarm on my phone earlier, reminding me to check my course, making sure I hadn't nodded off at a bad time. It pulled me out of my reveries, cleared my head. Room for me? Why did I think that? What was happening? Cold dread filled my body, clearing my mind. Something was wrong here. Very wrong. On a whim, I grabbed my headphones, jammed them into my ears, picked the first song and cranked it. I was afraid of what might happen if the foghorn sounded the third time. A silly hip-hop song blasted in my ears, my brother's favorite. For a brief moment, a smile tugged on my lips. Then I looked back at the ship. And I just stood there, staring at the ship and its passengers. It seemed to take an eternity to pass. A lifetime. And then it was gone. Before the song was even over. I stood there, badly shaken, heart pounding. What had that been? Not a blip on the radar, but I had seen it clear as day. Whatever that was, it wasn't natural. I made good time to Bermuda. A few hours later, the wind picked back up, and I coasted all the way down. I finished the trip in 4 days. I should be proud of the feat, but pride was not the prevailing emotion. I was just relieved to get back on solid ground. I swore to myself I'd never be alone on the open ocean again. Whatever darkness that ship found in me, I never want to experience it again.